tonight, American space pioneer John Glenn, plus 3 awesome gaming rigs, and this week's tech bargains with the real deal. Live from the Tech TV studios in San Francisco, it's the Screensavers.
Welcome to the Screensavers. I'm Patrick Norton.
And I'm Kevin Rose. Thanks for joining us on the Screensavers. This is the show that keeps you in close touch with the coolest stuff happening in the world of technology. Great show today.
Really?
A lot of stuff on today's show.
Tell me about it.
Well, you tell me about it. We went to Washington.
Yeah, we all went to Washington. It's Screensavers Goes to Washington, D.C. week. Every day we're going to bring you some amazing segments from our nation's capital. Inside the NSA, the National Archives today. Leo caught up with astronaut John Glenn. It's Space Day to talk about the evolution of tech in space. Leo looks like he's the most excited I've ever seen him.
Yeah, he was all suit and tied up.
Total fanboy.
Speaking of which, you're dressed up today.
Well, actually, this is for a friend of mine from back east. Mr. Levine, you wanted to see what I looked like in a shirt tucked in on camera. It can be done.
I wouldn't. So. Where's the kilt, though? The kilt would go nicely with that.
The kilt's a little strange, but the tie.
Yeah, it is a little strange. But let's start off with the tech news that caught our eye today. Sarah has the first story.
Patrick looking very dapper, I just want to say. Patrick in a tie, looking good, man. Recording Industry Association of America has struck again. Bad news, music people. The latest round of lawsuits for copyright infringement went out to 493 people today. This round brings the grand total to nearly 3,000 individuals who must now answer to the law since last September. Less than a year, already 3,000 people.
I thought they were letting up for a while because we hadn't heard anything for quite some time. And then
we will drive them from the peer-to-peer sites. We will beat them with a stick. I mean, they're just hammering on it.
Yeah. Did it say what service provider or anything that they got those? No service provider information. I was wondering where they pulled them from, whether it was Kazaa or.
You know, it may just be a profitable thing for them to do at this point because if they get like $2,000-$3,000 for every one of these they throw down,
they're making up for the losses.
Think about it, or at least giving them lots of money to lobby in Congress to help make everything less accessible and keep the DMCA from being controverted.
493 people, that's a lot of people.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised if they kept suing people left and right.
So beware.
Next story, this one's for all you audiophiles. If you're looking for the ultimate MP3 codec, your search may be over. In a recent survey of medium bitrate audiophiles, Ogg Vorbis and MusePack were the highest rated codecs. However, depending on the type of song you're compressing, some codecs obviously sound better than others. You can get a link to the complete survey from our show notes in today's Screensavers.com.
This is a survey that I know that you're really into, but it really doesn't matter to me. I could care less as long as it plays on my device.
Why could you care less?
Because if it plays on my device, that's all I care about. I have the mini iPod.
Right.
If I don't care if it's AAC, MP3, WMA. Well, I don't want it to be WMA because I don't want to support Microsoft.
But it's an interesting thought. If you're going to convert it to go on the iPod, do you want it in the best format? And not everybody like you has, drank the Apple Kool-Aid and is only using iTunes AAC.
Apple for life.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting to see you say that, even after your system crashed on air. Your dedication
it works now.
Your loyalty is beautiful to watch. It's interesting. And you know what? The iPods are great, but it's interesting. There's still people working on some amazing codecs. There's still alternatives. The best part, though, is they took 128 because that's the typical download size for a lot of companies.
Right. That's what iTunes offers at 128.
It's nothing else. It's worth going there to take a look at what people thought and to see the links there. It's kind of what I'm going to spend some more time looking at it to see whether it was more of a popularity contest or a blind listening test.
Yeah, I was going to say, how do they do this? They sit a bunch of people down and say, hey, listen to this one, listen to this one.
Well, they made zip files that you could actually download and listen to. So it's like you go to multi-format, who should take the test, anyone interested in audio quality, and you downloaded the file from there, which I'm not going to have time to unload here, but I'll play with this later on.
You can still do it. You can still download it right now and test it out yourself.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Cool.
It's an interesting stuff. At least somebody's out there. We get a lot of questions like, what codec should I use? Do people hear a difference? Roberto's one of the people who's actually out there trying to make a difference and giving people a chance to hear things and compare them.
Cool.
That's cool.
Sounds good.
So we'll have the links up there in the show notes. Thanks, Sarah.
Thanks, Sarah.
You're welcome. Have a good show, gentlemen.
We will.
Now, Collins joins us on the phone. Where are you calling from, Collins?
Mayfield, Kentucky.
All right. How you doing tonight, Collins?
Well, I was doing okay, but I've lost my quick launch toolbar.
Oh, no.
Is that the worst thing?
Well, that I can say on the air.
That's true. So the quick launch, I mean, this is stuff that, this started with what, Windows 98, 95, 98, somewhere around there.
This is like the best part about Windows these days.
Yeah, it's cool because it's a nice little bar that sits down in your system tray. Everyone at home knows what we're talking about.
Right.
Click it, launch it. But sometimes you can drag it out of there and actually lose the bar altogether.
Yeah, or, some people do is
Accidentally turn it off.
Yeah, and there's somebody on our site who always turns the quick launch off. I don't know who it is. Someday I'll figure it out. But basically, if you right-click, you click on the right part. If you right-click on the, if you crash the system by right-clicking on the toolbar,
and it's locked up.
That's nice. I haven't done that in a while. So anyhow, the quick launch is this area over here. You have the slider here. It's adjustable. It's working now. Let's see if properties works. That's really interesting.
That's strange.
Well, there's something we've never seen before. Tell them all about how you'd normally right-click on that and make it reappear.
Normally you right-click on it, and there should be something that says toolbars come up. Have you right-clicked on the taskbar at all, Collins?
I've tried that a couple times.
Do you see where it says toolbars, and then you can choose the quick launch toolbar and actually highlight it?
I've tried that, and it will not work.
It just doesn't come up at all.
Won't come up at all.
That's strange. The only thing I can think is, you didn't have to change screen resolutions at all lately or anything like that?
No, I was installing a little MP3 device the other day, and I had a screen dump, and it system locked up, and actually I lost my favorites, bookmarks in Mozilla. I lost lots, and the quick launch is gone.
Wow, it almost sounds like you lost your profile, and you've lost all your profile information under Windows XP, Collins.
Yeah, have you, you should start backing up right away. I hope you're backing up your documents and things like that. If things like this are happening, now's a good time to start, taking that off of your computer.
Okay. Actually, now, the same thing happened with the quick launch about 3 months ago, and I found and I've been searching all day. Somewhere on Google, I found a fix. But you created a folder, and I can't find the information again.
Yeah, that's pretty easy. What they're describing to you there is creating a new toolbar altogether. And the quick launch is just a fancy name for a toolbar that contains a set of shortcuts that is placed on your taskbar. So you can right-click on there and then choose New Toolbar, and it's going to ask you for a folder, which folder that you would like to put all the icons inside of that toolbar. Are you still crash, Pat?
Yeah, it's funny. It totally racked it.
So Pat still crashed. We can't show you on the computer here, but if you create a new toolbar, create a folder right off your C drive, call it Quick Launch or whatever you want.
Okay.
Drag and drop copies of your shortcuts into there, and then choose that as your folder. It'll then put it right back on your toolbar there, and you're good to go.
Just to give you an idea, normally, if you wanted to turn this on, you'd right-click the taskbar and start menu properties, and that gives you the ability to show the quick launch or move that stuff in and out of there, which is pretty easy. But I'm wondering, did you actually on your system, if we pull the camera back for a second, did you actually lose the user account profile that you were using, Collins?
No, I didn't.
You
I
did?
lost in Mozilla. My history is still there,
right?
But my personal toolbar gone.
That's strange.
I actually had a backup of that, and I, of course, installed that. But I don't know, and I lost my my address, my inbox in Mozilla is gone. It's empty. Had to recreate. Had to set up a new account.
Which version of Mozilla are you using, Collins?
1.6.
It's a pretty stable version.
Yeah. Do you have any kids around the house or anything like that? Ex-girlfriend possibly?
No.
No. Okay. Just checking.
Yeah.
Sometimes that can be the problem.
Been there, suffered that. Yeah, I was going to say, it almost sounds like I said, you lost your user profile. You haven't lost your user profile. You could try doing a search inside of the Mozilla folders to see if somehow it got accidentally renamed or something. But you might be out of luck on this one, Collins.
Okay, well, the quick launch is the key, because if I can get that back, I'll be a whole lot satisfied. So.
Yeah, we'll just create that other folder and add it back. But now's a good time to back up everything.
Yeah.
Because you never know what you're going to lose next.
Yeah, just in case something's doing nasty stuff in your system.
Thanks for the call, Collins.
Good luck. Screensavers go to Washington Week. Let's check in with Leo to find out what he's got coming up. Leo?
Hi, this is Leo Laporte at the brand new Smithsonian Air and Space Museum in Washington, D.C. Coming up, John Glenn and more as we continue with the Screensavers.
John Glenn is a true space pioneer and American hero. Most people know he was the first American to orbit the Earth and a former U.S. Senator. Well, Leo caught up with him earlier this month during Space Day in Washington, D.C.
Senator Glenn, thank you for joining us.
Glad to. Thank you.
It's a real honor to meet you. Do you remember when you first got interested in flight?
Oh, yeah. You know, when I was about 8 or 9 years old, my dad, there was a plane that was taking people up for rides. Open cockpit, Waco airplane, open cockpit. My dad wanted to know if I wanted to go up. And so he and I went up together and flew around Cambridge, Ohio for maybe 15 minutes. And looking down up there 2,000 or 3,000 feet up, whatever we were, I was hooked at that time. Went home and I built model airplanes and later on wanted to learn to fly. But of course those were days of the Great Depression and there wasn't much money. And then in college there was an opportunity through what was called the Civilian Pilot Training Program. Government would pay for your flight training just in light planes and local airfields. And you could get credit for physics for it in college. And I thought that was too good to miss. So I had my private pilot's license when World War II started.
Right.
And then after Pearl Harbor, I immediately volunteered to go into military flight training.
Right. Did you have any idea as a younger man that space might be your future?
No, nobody knew anything about space back then.
Right.
There wasn't such a word as astronaut.
Right.
When I was a kid, that was invented later on after we were asked to go in the program.
Yeah. Looking back now on your space experience, of course you've been up twice, of course, the first man to orbit the Earth, and then in 1998 on the shuttle. What do you come away with? Not merely memories, but just your thoughts about what it all means.
Well, I think what you have to realize, between those two flights, the whole purpose of the space program has changed. Back in those early days, we're trying to find out if we could even go into space, and if people could work up there and could do things. And some of the doctors were even predicting that maybe your eyes would change shape because they no longer needed to be supported with the structure under the eye. And would you become gradually, your vision would go away? Would you maybe become partially blind in space? Now, of course, when I went up on the second flight, there had been 120-some manned flights in between those two things. And the whole emphasis of the space program had changed completely. It's now oriented toward research, basic research. And that's what they're doing on the shuttle. We had 83 different research projects on the shuttle on the second flight I made in the fall of 1998.
That's a lot of work.
A lot of work is right, 83 different projects, but there were 7 of us on the flight. I was alone on the first flight.
That's right.
But there were 7 of us, and so it split up well. And the scientists, we had briefed with all the scientists on all these different projects that they were going to have on there. And to me, that's one of the greatest values of the space program is the research return that's done there that has a value right here on Earth. I appreciate the fact that we're setting new goals and we're going on farther out, but I hope if we ever lose this concentration on things, doing research also that is a benefit to people right here on Earth, we'll have lost something that is very unique and a unique opportunity in the space program.
So the symbolism isn't the key for you. It's what we learn from doing it.
There is symbolism in going out, and will people be excited that when we land on Mars or go back to the moon or whatever? Sure, people will be excited. But the long-term benefit for people right here on Earth is going to come from what's learned that benefits people right here on Earth.
Right.
Not just a new space spectacular as the only goal.
Right.
I think that the capability of doing basic research in space is a unique laboratory. We've never had that in all human history. And I think it's wrong not to maximize that research return we have and that we can do on the station once it's completed. It's only about 2/3 complete right now. And so once it's completed, the current plan, of course, is to do research on there only as it applies to the Moon and Mars.
Right.
And I think it should be broader than that. I think we should do the basic type research that the scientists have lined up to do for years and years and years.
Do you think the Mars mission is important?
Oh, I think it's important to set a goal like that. I've always thought that going to Mars sometime was sort of understood that we would have that as a goal sometime. I think it's good to set a goal like this and so that we start maybe working toward that. But I don't want to see that done at the expense of cutting out the other research on the station that will be of value, I think, right here on Earth. It's a very unique laboratory. For instance, I'll give you a good example on this. They were curious about flames. Here on Earth, of course, you light a candle, flame goes up. Right. That's because of convection of the air when it's heated. Up there, though, they light a wick up there, and the flame just sort of goes out like this in a ball, or the burning area, and they found that in some of the study of the soot in this burning pattern now, they were able to keep combustion going with only about an 8% fuel-air ratio, and your automobile engine runs 70% fuel-air ratio. Now, the combustion experts are very interested. That's the kind of thing you can't foresee in advance.
Right.
It was a surprise to everybody that this thing happened up there.
Right.
And yet it may be of tremendous value right here on Earth.
There's certainly a lot of surprises in space. I was looking over here at Alan Shepard's Freedom 7. Is that pretty similar to the Friendships that you flew?
The size of it and everything's identical. The instrumentation and some of that was a little bit different for the orbital flight.
It's amazing. That's such a small
it wasn't very big. Well, that's as big as we could put up at that time.
Right.
We were limited in the size of the spacecraft because we were better technically in some other areas than the Soviets.
They had bigger spacecraft.
They had bigger spacecraft, but we were limited by the size of the booster that could lift us up there. And our boosters and the Soviets had been designed to deliver ICBMs.
Right.
Well, we had been better than they were in miniaturizing nuclear weapons.
So we had smaller rockets.
Boosters, yeah.
Oh, I'll be darned.
Then when it came time for the manned program, why we were saddled with a smaller booster, so that's the size we were limited to back then. And the Soviets at that time, of course, had a great big booster because they had not been as good.
Right.
Their booster was designed for great big nuclear weapons.
See, sometimes it's better not to be as far advanced. Well, it's been a great pleasure talking to you. I thank you so much, Senator Glenn, for joining us, and what an honor.
Very cool. Later this week, Pat had a chance to check out the Space Shuttle Enterprise, so stay tuned for that. Now, still to come, we've been busy digging through the tech ads to find you the greatest deals. And up next, we'll tell our next caller, Wally, if he's cool sticking with the old Windows ME. That's all when the Screensavers continues.
Wally joins us on the phone from Altoona, Pennsylvania.
Hey, Wally.
Hey, Kevin. Hey, Pat.
How's it going?
How's it going?
Very good.
How can we help you tonight?
Yes, I have a 233 megahertz, 64 megabyte computer running Windows Millennium Edition.
Nice.
And I just wanted to know whether it's worth upgrade to Windows 2000 or not.
Would you have a free copy of Windows 2000?
No, it's very expensive, I heard.
So basically, you're talking about buying a new operating system to upgrade this Windows ME system.
Yeah.
I tell you, the biggest problem with the system is not really the processor speed, although it's kind of at the low end for like Windows XP.
Yeah.
Biggest problem is the 64 megabytes of RAM. You're dying for like 256 or 512 megabytes of RAM for that system, Wally.
Now you ran Pat on a 300 megahertz machine for a while, right?
I had a 300 megahertz Pentium 2 system I ran Windows XP on for 2 years.
How much RAM did you have on that?
Between 256K or 256 megabytes and 512 megabytes.
Yeah, 256K wouldn't be a whole lot.
No, I don't think you could boot Windows XP ME or DOS might boot in 256K.
He might. I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't recommend going out there.
Let's take a step back. What do you want to fix by upgrading the memory, Wally?
I wanted to make it run a little faster because normally it crashes a lot.
Yeah.
Have you tried just doing
Windows ME?
Have you tried just doing I should say upgrading the operating system, not the memory, but have you tried just doing a clean reinstall of Windows ME?
I don't have a CD for it, so I don't have to do that.
Well, you know what? You're right on half of this. It is going to make it a lot more stable, but the speed, you're not getting any faster. Windows ME is going to be pretty much the fastest OS, if not 95 or 98 that you can put on.
You know what? The truth is the Windows NT, Windows 2000, Windows XP kernel. We used to do hardware comparisons, and on the same hardware, you'll see about a 15 and sometimes as much as a 20% boost in performance with the NT kernel-based operating system. It's a much more efficient kernel.
Not moving from ME though.
Like ME or 98, yeah.
Really?
About 14%.
I've had just the opposite. I've seen that when you upgrade to a more complex operating system such as that, it takes
It's
forever.
actually not that much more complex. And
Well,
it may take longer to boot, but when we were running basic system-based benchmarks with Office tools, we actually saw in a lot of cases it was about 15% faster.
That's weird because when I was doing that virtual PC stuff just a couple weeks ago, I had the different operating systems, and 98, 95 were so much faster than I was running into XP.
They also have lower system requirements. One of the biggest things is whether or not you have enough memory.
Yeah,
if you have 64 megabytes of memory, none of them are going to run fast, and XP is going to run fast a lot slower than that.
Well, your best bet probably to start with is to find out what type of RAM is inside of that system, what type of memory you need to upgrade, and then go down to your computer junk house. Like you can pick apart
or do a search on the web. It's probably really cheap to get memory for that, even like a half a
from
gig.
Kingston or somewhere like that.
What's that?
Like from Kingston or Crucial or some memory
Kingston,
like
Crucial, your local computer store, eBay.
You might want to even go that far. Just go to one of those computer stores that sells refurbished computers and used computers and ask to look at their RAM bin. They'll have a bin of house RAM that you can buy for like dirt cheap, that normally will sell, and that might be the first place to start. It's not going to be,
that's going to, but,
you're already talking about
doubling, tripling, quadrupling your RAM, or basically even just going to 128 is going to help. Going to 256 megabytes is going to help hugely with the system you're running right now, Wally. The second question is whether or not it's worth spending like $89 for an operating system upgrade. This is another case. Great time to look at your local garage sale, used computer store, see if you can find a Windows 98 SE installation. For like $20. That would be a great thing to install. I wouldn't reinstall Windows ME. I'd probably put Windows 98.
Yeah, and if you're going to spend $100 on XP, you may want to consider saving up for a couple more months, get $300-400, and then buy yourself a nice little brand new Dell that comes bundled with Windows XP.
Yeah.
It's going to run so much faster and be a lot more reliable for you.
Which is, it's kind of amazing how much computer you can get for $500 these days.
I heard a lot.
Good luck, Wally.
Thanks, Wally.
Somebody yanked off the phone.
He's off the phone. Now, don't go anywhere. We have the best gaming PCs right here. And after the break, we'll check out this week's tech bargains with the real deal that's on when the Screensavers continues.
Welcome back to the Screensavers. I'm Patrick Norton.
And I'm Kevin Rose. Coming up in this half hour, we've reviewed gaming notebooks. Now it's time to find out what the best gaming desktops are. Some of them are like $4,000.
It's amazing. Robert Heron, the answer may surprise you.
Very cool stuff. And Alan's on the line wondering just what MAC addresses are and how they're obtained. We have the answer for you and him.
Deep inside the history of networking.
Yes, indeed.
It's time now for a take on the latest newspaper ads. We call it The Real Deal. Sunday, all over the ads. Check this out. It's time, finally. Return of the King is available on DVD. So if you're into the Lord of the Rings, you should be a happy, happy day for you tomorrow. $14.99, the cheapest place. Whoop, let me click that back there. $14.99 is the best for the single disc. $14.99 from Circuit City, $15.99 from Target, from Best Buy. It's all over the place. And also,
you get free Act 2 popcorn with purchase of Lord of the Rings.
You know what? And it's the cheapest price, apparently.
That's awesome.
Popcorn and $1 off compared to everybody else in Circuit City. The other thing they're coming out with is a complete box set with all three of the original theatrical release versions.
So these aren't the extended. I want the extended all box
set. See, they'll sell that in like another 3 to 5 months out.
Right. Christmas time is when we'll see that hit the market. I have a feeling.
Exactly. Or later on this. It'll be interesting to see what that ships. I hope they don't wait till Christmas. I want it as quickly as possible.
That's what I'm waiting for.
But Lord of the Rings, Return of the King, available tomorrow along with the box set of the theatrical edition, not the extended edition. All over the papers today was news about memory manufacturers, Toshiba and I want to say. Not SanDisk, but it's another big giant word for a name I can't remember. Two of the biggest memory manufacturers for flash memory in the world are cutting their prices, trying to gain memory. It hasn't really showed up that much on the street yet, but it should show up in the next couple of months. But check it out, 256 megabyte thumb drives, $49.99, $29.99 for typical 128. If you got to back up files, you need to move stuff between work and home, great way to do it is off the thumb drive. Another good deal we found. Best Buy's got Nero, which is our favorite burning software, boxed edition, $49.99, which is pretty competitive for the actual download. Buy it yourself. One of the best prices we've seen for it.
$20 million rebate on that, though.
That's the only problem.
Yeah, but that's the Ultra Edition. We do hate rebates. So this is the Ultra Edition that comes with everything.
Yeah.
So if you
including a kitchen sink and manual. So
MP3 ripping, you name it. It's at the complete package.
Yeah, $69.99 out the door, $20 mail-in rebate. Hey, you know what? We hate rebates, but we can't seem to stop them.
That's right.
We wish we could. Go to thescreensavers.com, click on the show notes and see the ads we took a look at, along with our commentary.
Now, here is Sarah with a quick tip.
Yay! Google is one seriously robust search engine. Even mine, even though it's not as cool as it used to be, it's still great, but there's more to it than just the searches. If you want to save your Google searches as text files, or try your hand at Google whacking, or just modify the little guide to your own liking, go to thescreensavers.com/show notes. There, you're going to learn how to optimize Google for faster and better searches. Who doesn't want that? Now stay where you are. What's the deal in obtaining MAC addresses? We're going to tell Alan. That's our caller on deck. But up next, we'll introduce you to these 3 awesome gaming systems when the Screensavers continue.
Time to welcome Tech TV tech analyst Robert Heron back to the Screensavers. He's had his hands on 3 of the best gaming desktop systems available. Brought them to the show with him. Welcome back to the Screensavers, Robert.
Thank you, Pat.
We should point out there's some pretty serious 3D action going on. I don't know if we can actually get a shot of that on air. But
that's NVIDIA's latest tech demo, actually, for their 6800 Ultra.
Now, we should wonder,
the pirate ship.
You can see the reflections. The water synth is beautiful. How come they're not? If the new card from ATI is supposed to be faster, why aren't any of these systems using it?
Well, at the time we requested them, ATI's card wasn't available yet.
Okay.
So they went ahead and added 6800 Ultras to all three of these systems. We tried to spec them out as similar as possible in terms of memory configuration. They all have a gig. They're all using the 74 gig Raptors and RAID 0, which is, arguably the best you can do right now. And they all happen to use Asus motherboards as well.
So it's funny. It's kind of like we've had this happen before, where people figure out what the game system manufacturers figure out what the best formula is, and they all tend to be pretty close to the same.
They have to be very reliable. They have to be, when they put it together, and they're going to sell it to people. And it's the parts they're most comfortable using.
And you guys, when you spec'd out this roundup, you basically said, send us your best, fastest, most amazing system ever. Price is no object.
No, yeah. We said it's up to them, except for the basics like memory and hard drive and the video card.
Well, should we introduce the three of these and talk about how much they actually cost? What's going on with this system here? Who is this?
This is Falcon Northwest's latest box in their Mach 5 series. This is the Icon case. It's actually the brand new case design. And of course, they are known for their paint jobs and basically case modifications. Anything you want done to the outside of this system, they are more than willing to do it.
I don't know if you can see the laser cut in the front. It's actually backlit. I don't know if you can quite see that under the lights here in the studio.
And that comes with inserts for different colors. You can change the color of that insert. They all happen to use DVD burners in them too, which was a nice touch nowadays. The split design, though, this is new for this. And if you look right up inside there, they have a beautiful, this is actually exhausting outward, but it's just for cleaning this out, regular maintenance for the computer, it just makes it so much easier to get at.
Do you get to wipe the dust off of here instead of inside the system?
Yeah, or if you want to hit this fan real easy, there's no screen to pull out. You don't have to lift the case up and pull it out like some Ante cases use. And
what's going on with these two buttons?
That was the reset button.
Oh, good to know. That should be labeled.
And of course, it's got FireWire and USB 2 right up front and a little third panel right down there, which is awfully handy.
Very nice.
And if you want to take a look on the inside,
pretty clean.
Yes, very clean. And this is a 19-layer, beautiful paint job that I am just,
So what does this amazing system? What would something like this cost? That's like is that a Zalman heatsink on there?
That sure is. I actually have one of those sitting on my PC at home. A very quiet heatsink, a very effective heatsink.
How out of control is that?
Clean.
Cooler on
Isn't
there.
that clean?
It's really nice.
It's beautiful work in there.
Which is good because we saw with
lots
some
of
the
room
ones
for an air-cooled system. I'll be honest with you, I was playing around with overclocking this thing, and it's a 3-4 Pentium 4 Extreme Edition chip. That's an $1,100 CPU, so that's a big chunk of the cost of the system right there.
And how much does this system cost?
As it sits right here, it's $5,000 plus the paint work.
So this is not including the and this is like the custom painted mouse. How much is it with the paint work?
The paint work's usually about $500 plus, depending on what you have done exactly.
So without the paint work, about $5,000. With the paint work, around $5,500.
Probably, you're looking right about there.
But I gotta say,
you're looking
at this
the most expensive parts you could use in terms of eking out every last bit of performance.
Now, the next one up here, Alienware, also a pretty much the most expensive parts you could use. What's going on with this system?
Yeah, this is actually their new ALX system, which will be out the middle of next month. This is a preview of what you'll see then. This is a beta unit. Only 3 were made. We happen to get one of them.
Now, we should point out, this is not the one with the dual PCI Express cards where they split, the top half and the bottom half of the screen.
That's the ALX X2 that'll be out in Q3 or Q4. By the end of the year, it'll be out.
Is this a Coolant system on the top of this?
I believe so. They're using Coolant's water blocks for the video card, the GPU, and the CPU, and the Northbridge chip.
You can't really see it, but it's actually running, I guess, at 35 degrees Celsius inside of there. It's a pretty tiny little spot in there.
There's a venting system up here with 2 fans exhausting the radiator out the top. You have a button for Celsius, Fahrenheit control, as well as fan speed. 3 levels of fan speed control. We've left it at the lowest speed the whole time. Didn't have a single hiccup. The ALX systems will ship factory overclocked. This particular one's also using the $1,100 P4 part, overclocked from 3.4 to 3.7. In addition, they overclocked the video card as well. And just take a look at the water cooling system they actually employed within this box. And I have to say, it is one of the nicest tube routing jobs. There is no slack. There is nothing jiggling around. It is you could jiggle it, but it's well secured so that
it's really cleanly done.
These systems, too, with their ALX line, they'll be shipping them not only in hard cases, but offering crazy customization options. Everything from Chrome WASD keys to, if you want to have anything done interior-wise, you can have that done as well. Very, very high-end systems. And in addition to preloading, things like preloading software, all these guys are starting to move into that area as well. Well, if you want your favorite games, they'll not only load them up for you, but they'll optimize them and patch them and provide services above and beyond what they regularly offer.
And it's nice. Alienware is definitely, for a while there, Alienware was slacking a little bit on the way they set up the interior of the systems. They've definitely cleaned up the installations. Here's the thing, though.
Added some serious cooling through this thing,
The
too.
system's overclocked. Did you see any benefits off of overclocking the processor?
Not the processor per se, especially when we talk about the high-end games nowadays, like Far Cry. Far Cry is the big one right now. It is a DirectX 9 game in par excellence. And the thing about that, it is video card dependent. Once you get above a certain point with the CPUs, it really doesn't matter there. It's all about the video card.
So the video card is the bottleneck.
Yeah, and the more you can run, the faster you can run the video card, the faster the game will run. And that's it's a slightly faster overclock than the other cards that are running at stock speed. So for that alone, they earned about 5 extra frames per second in our maximum quality tests.
How are we talking about?
38 versus 42 roughly. And I mean, it's not. At
1600 by 1200, are you going to notice that difference?
No.
Okay.
Actually, I'd be lowering the resolution just to keep the quality where it is, but at the same time improving the frame rate to make it very liquid and very smooth.
Let's go to the third one here.
Sure.
Is this? Who's their final contestant from?
Hey, Voodoo PC is now known as Voodoo Inc., and I'm just going to leave that off there. Yeah. This is their new Hex. This is actually an Athlon 64 system using the 3400 Plus part.
Nice aluminum case.
Look at that, yeah, with the faceplate that matches the rest of it. Anodized aluminum, a grill, laser cut grill up front with a serious amount of air going in through there.
Yeah, you actually feel the breeze going. You can't really, you can hear it if you get pretty close. Well, no, actually, I think that's this one that I can hear.
Yeah, this is a relatively quiet box for what it is. And as you can see, it's a little more squat and wide than your typical PC design.
USB and FireWire up front.
Right up front.
For this system, how much is the Alienware?
Estimated price starts at about $5,000.
I want the FireWire on the front.
Yeah,
for $5,000.
For that, I think they'd be able to figure a way for that.
So how does this? I mean, an unusual case size. How's everything arranged inside of there?
Pop the side off and take a look inside. This is a fascinating system in terms of. For the case design they have, they actually moved the power supply to the bottom, which you can see here, the blue object. And in order to, that also happens to cover the PCI slots as well. So if you, for whatever reason, you wanted to put a PCI card in, you would have to undo the 4 screws to be able to get that out of the way. Not really a big deal. It is.
You might want to maybe for a sound card, since they use the onboard audio.
That's true. And if you're going to order this from them, and if you wanted a certain sound card, they'd be more than willing to put that in for you. Of course, the fan system actually does a really great job of blowing over the hard drives, which today's hard drives are actually one of the great causes of heat, in addition to the video card and everything else.
It's a pretty clean layout. Is it? Sorry about that.
That's one thing.
There's
everyone
like little
seems to
filters
do.
on the front of here. Do you have to unscrew this to pull the filters out on that?
Yeah, you can actually pop the front off and then go ahead and clean that matting that you saw up front. That also helps catch some of the light that's shining down too, to give it that nice red glow. In a darkened room, it looks like it's something made by Voodoo Inc.
The first system was what, $4,000 without the paint?
Right, or about $5,000 with all the parts. It's really the CPU. You're talking.
Right.
$1,100 CPU for those two systems. They're using about close to $500 worth of memory, $450 worth of hard drives.
$4,000.
That just adds up.
$5,000. How much for this system?
Under $2,600.
Now, was it any slower in the video game benchmarks?
Not for our high-end tests in DirectX 9 in particular with Far Cry. They're all the same because, like we were talking about, it's bottlenecked at the video card at this point, even with the most powerful graphics cards you can get right now.
Right. It's a pretty interesting thought. So you don't have to spend. I mean, if you were going to pick one of these to take home, which one would it be?
Oh, it is such a tough choice. And actually, whoever for our upcoming Digital Digs giveaway, I've just decided to let all three stand on their own merits. They're all 5-star systems for various reasons, and they're all so unique and different. It's really up to your own personal taste. Do you want a system you can paint to any color and have it laser cut, maybe put your name on the side or your favorite game logo or your company logo, backlit, whatever? That's something Falcon does really well. For crazy cool factory overclocked water cooling, Alienware does a terrific job with that, and I'm really impressed for a beta unit. This is one of 3 in the world right now, and we have it. And
so
the X2,
at least it got the hand attention, the hard attention.
Definitely. And then for Voodoo, the size, I like a little smaller case. I just built a small form factor Athlon system, and I'm kind of addicted to the small size. And of course, you can't deny the value that Voodoo provides in terms of just providing a very powerful system at almost half the price of the others.
Very cool.
It is pretty darn amazing what they're doing nowadays.
And you know what? $2,500, almost as fast as the $4,500, $5,000.
You know what, though?
system.
If you talk about things outside of gaming, though, like video encoding being number one, that's one that really Pentium 4s with dual-channel memory. It's a memory bandwidth test when you talk about video encoding. So aside from gaming, it's more about the video cards and the CPU power of it.
If you were going to spend this kind of money on a system, would you wait for the ATI X800 to come out, or would you go ahead and buy one of them? You would wait for the X800.
For image quality, which as a gamer, I want high resolution, and I want perfect image quality. And that's something I find ATI just seems to deliver better than the others.
Ladies and gentlemen, there's a ton more information up on the website. Tech TV analyst Robert Heron Good stuff. He's got an awesome review of these systems at thescreensavers.com. Right now, though, we're going to check in with Leo for a quick tip. Leo?
I've got a Linux tip for you guys. Actually, not just one Linux tip, 550 Linux tips thanks to Lost. That's the Linux One Stanza Tips Archive. You'll find it on SourceForge at lost.sourceforge.net. It's a series of small Linux-related hints, although, by the way, they work fine in most Unixes as well, including Mac OS X. There are 6 lines or less, suitable for use in signatures in your emails or Fortune cookies if you're using the Fortune program. And they're available in a lot of different formats. In fact, not only a variety of file formats, but there's a bunch of scripts on here, too, to allow you to use it. And if you don't want to even install the scripts, you can just read the One Stanza tips one at a time by just going to the download page and refreshing. And each time you refresh, you'll get a brand new Lost tip. It's the Linux One Stanza Tips Archive. 550 very useful, handy Linux tips available for you. Now, if you have a Linux distro, you already have the Fortune application. You would download the Fortune format file. Make it very easy every time you log into Linux, for instance, to have that one of those tips pop up, a good way to learn. You can also download it in a format that's suitable for putting in signatures. And if you're using Mac OS X, I have a link in my article to a Fortune cookie program for OS X. For some reason, Fortune does not come with OS X, but you can have a nice little GUI pop up every time you log into OS X with a useful Unix tip. They're all here. The Lost Archives. That's the lost.sourceforge.net. Back to you guys.
Coming up after the break, our next caller is curious about MAC addresses. How are they assigned? Where do they come from? We're going to tell you. I love the idea of the Chrome keys for gaming. Coming up right after these messages.
G4 Tech TV, coming May 28th. Stay connected.
Be sure to catch tomorrow's show. I'm going to give you a sneak peek inside one of our country's most secure environments, the National Security Agency, and cache your clipboard content to use anytime with Sarah's free download. Plus, Leo's going to show you a program to make, well, he's going to show you his favorite voice over IP, darn near free telephone calling over the broadband connection you got in your house.
Pretty cool.
Coming up on tomorrow's edition of the Screensavers.
Now, Jeff joins us on the phone from Owings, Maryland.
Hey, Jeff.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Hey, how's it going?
Good. Yourself?
Good, thanks.
How can we help you?
Well, I'm curious how MAC addresses are assigned by the various manufacturers. I'm wondering if there's a clearinghouse for the MAC addresses, such as there is for the IP addresses, or do they just wing it and hope that no other manufacturer duplicates it?
They don't wing it. I know that much. MAC address is right. Basically, it's an individual address to any piece of networking hardware. So the idea is, remember when people got really upset about IDs for computer processors, Jeff?
Exactly.
Like one of the best things I ever read was by Bill McCrone over at PC Magazine. He's like, why are you so upset about this? There's been a unique identifier for everything attached to the Internet for years. Right. It's called a MAC address. It's built into your network.
Every time you buy a router or a switch or a network card, they're all going to have a MAC address in it. MAC address stands for Media Access Control. It's an address that is unique to that specific component, and there's not going to be any other number just like that one. They're each going to have their own address, and it's used in by communication protocols to identify certain components on the network. Very common.
People who control those is the IEEE, the basically the engineering standards group, and there's some great stuff on Wikipedia and some other places. But basically, each of that has a 48-bit address space. So there's 2 to the 48 power different addresses, or 281 million possible MAC addresses, and the IEEE assigns those out in basically 24-bit prefixes. Or it assigns out the prefixes, and they basically assign them out to individual companies that are manufacturers. So they basically assign them at about 16 million MAC addresses at a time.
Okay, I see. So they are actually assigned by the IEEE, and it's sort of like a clearinghouse, so that they're not reassigned from one manufacturer to another.
Which brings us to the question, Jeff, why do you want to be able to assign MAC addresses?
I don't. I was just curious how that the manufacturers assigned them.
Yeah, the engineers sat down, had a fist fight, and came up with the idea that the IEEE would administer them, and they basically assign a giant group of numbers, kind of like almost like getting a top-level domain. They have a manufacturer ID code, and then the manufacturers can subdivide those out however they choose.
Sure. Well, I knew that there was a clearinghouse for the obviously for the IP addresses. Right. And I was just wondering how manufacturers obtain their MAC addresses if it was a similar system.
Right.
IEEE, there you go.
There you go. Hey, can I mention my website?
Sure.
Go for it.
It's going to go down.
I know that.
It's not naughty, is it?
No, not at all. It's honestchief.com.
Honestchief.com. You got about 30 seconds to live on that site, just to let you know.
I'm gonna watch it go down.
All right.
No, actually, I think it's down already, Jeff.
Yeah, it's.
Oh, wait, here it goes. Hold on.
Is it coming?
Almost.
No. There it goes. All right.
Wow, serious stuff, man.
Cool.
Is it there?
Serious stuff.
Yep, it's up.
How about that?
Thanks for the call, Jeff. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much for taking. I appreciate the information.
All right,
Alrighty.
Jeff. You take care.
Take care. Now let's check in with Sarah for some important information.
That's right. The Tech TV Digital Digs Roadshow is heading to a town near you, or more specifically, Atlanta, Georgia. Come on out and meet Jessica Corbin, Adam Sessler, and Morgan Webb at the Lenox Square Mall this Saturday, June 5th from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. and Sunday, June 6th from noon till 5. So fun. Kevin and I had a great time. Go see them. Now, there you are. Next up, we'll check our inbox, see what's on your mind when the Screensavers continue.
It's that time again. Sarah, do you have any emails?
I do. The first one comes from Douglas, who says, I'm traveling with the Carnival this summer, which sounds really fun. Selling mirrored names that I custom make. Okay. I'd like to have mobile internet service so I can keep in touch with my family members and such, but I don't have a lot of money. I'm looking for a cheap satellite internet provider. What do you guys think?
There are no cheap satellite providers.
That's a strange email.
But, you know, it's related to a lot of emails. We get a lot of people, a lot of older viewers are in RVs. A lot of people travel a lot constantly.
Right.
I mean, here's the thing. Your best shot is finding internet cafes, the places you can go. There's places that list those online. Your second best shot is to find a cell phone service. You know, one of the reasons I still have Sprint is they have the Vision. And
I do the same thing.
Yeah, I can do a USB connection from my notebook to Sprint, so almost anywhere I can get Sprint connection.
It's slow, but it works.
It's a lot faster than my last, regular phone modem.
Yeah, it's been a long time since I've been on dial-up, so I don't remember those days.
I had recently suffered through dial-up, so I realized just how fast it is. If you want to get one of those, sits on top of your truck satellite connections, you're going to spend money for the hardware, and you're going to spend probably $90 to $100 a month on the connection. And they're really slow, and they get incredibly slow around dinner time when everybody starts logging in the early evening. So, you can do satellite, but it's kind of frustrating.
Yeah, that's one of my greatest fears. Carnies.
Carnies?
Yeah.
It's a childhood incident?
Or just small hands smell like cabbage.
Sarah, do you have another email question?
It's from Austin Powers. You guys remember Austin Powers?
I know.
Apparently not.
Carnival people are people too. He just wants to keep in touch with his family.
I'm kidding.
Best of luck to you, Douglas. Go Carnival. Carnivals are fun. Okay, Mike wants to know, is it possible when the dual-layered recordable DVD discs hit the market that the disc will be compatible with the burners already on the market? Or am I going to have to buy another dual-layered compatible burner?
Yeah, it's not going to work.
Yeah, there was some rumors going around. There were going to be some forwards compatible firmware updates and stuff, but I'm not holding my breath.
I mean, it has to focus on a separate layer in order to burn that layer, and these DVD writers that are out there right now just don't understand that technology.
We should do some research, or we should make Robert do some research to find out the technology behind basically whether or not they're using the same laser, whether or not it's because it's going to be
same laser.
It is the same laser.
Are there going to be any firmware updates or anything like that to make that happen, or
a whole new drive that's supported? There's two out right now though. Lite-On and Sony both have dual layer burners. Where the media is,
nobody knows.
It's not
do you have them in the labs?
No, not yet. I want media first, and I can get 2 or 3 pieces, which currently I believe if you try to get a hold of them, they're like $50 a slice. So
$50 a disc.
Wait till Verbatim ramps up speed, and then boom.
Okay. So later this summer we'll have a better answer to that question. We got to go, folks. That's it. This is the Screensavers.
I'm Kevin Rose.
And I'm Patrick Norton. Thank you for joining us. We'd like to thank John Glenn and Robert Heron.
Have a good night.
Good night, folks.